four-man crew. Quite tight.
The other people sit behind.
Basically, I've got driver, radio operator, and hull gunner. So he's focusing on that. And then the turret, you've got two people.
Oh, I see. They sit
in the basket here.
The basket.
M3 Stuart tank. America had been experimenting, basically building about 2 tanks a year in the 1930s, but one of the things they did, they're very clever with, they experiment by building subcomponents to try out things, to see what would work should a war come, when they might need these things. And the American war policy, basically in the 20s and 30s, is should a war come, we will throw money at the problem. In other words, their army is tiny, they do away with their tank force after the First World War, but they build up they do a college, for example, where all American officers go to a college which is about war production. Should a war come, that's the time we're then going to learn or put into practice paper theories that they had in the 20s and 30s. In other words, how do we build lots of tanks? Stuart, because we name all the American tanks we get from the Yanks, it's basically after American Civil War generals. So this is named after Jeb Stuart. It comes into service, the M3 tank. There's another version of it. They upgraded it a bit later on. This is the M3 version. You can tell the differences. If you look at where the driver's position is at the front, it's almost got a stepped hatch that's open. The M5 version that comes next has got a smooth front glacé plate, and the driver looks through periscopes above him, not directly forward. So it's got hatches on the roof of the front, the M5 version. They were going to call it the M4, but then they thought it was going to sound too confusing. M4 Sherman tank, M4 light tank, Stuart tank, so they called it the M5 instead. Now this particular tank's privately owned, it's here on loan to us, but it's been restored to a really high order. If you've got the chance to have a look at it, look inside, look through the front there, it's stowed out, it's got its radio in, it's got the lights that work on it. And the British, we loved it. When it came into service in North Africa, they rushed over there. The British Army ended up calling them honeys, because they were so lovely. They were reliable. Quite a tall tank because of the radial, the Continental W670 engine in there built. It's quite a high engine, and it means that the transmission goes forward right quite to the front there at a slight angle by the driver. He sits right next to the gearbox. Small little turret with a 37mm gun in.